Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to today's New York City Council vote for the Committee on Finance. At this time, please silence all electronic devices and no one may approach the dais. Chair, we are ready to begin.
Okay, great. Welcome, everyone. Oh, I have to. Good morning. I'm Councilmember Linda Lee, Chair of the Committee on Finance. Oh. I'd like to recognize my fellow committee members. We have Council Members Brewer, Aldebal, Marte, Wong, Aviles, Hudson, Narcisse, Feliz, Maloney, Brooks Powers, Mealy, and Williams. At today's hearing, the committee will hold a vote on a pre-considered resolution in relation to an exemption from real property taxes for Penn South, a mutual redevelopment company comprised of 2,820 units in Councilmember Bottcher's district. At the request of the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, this resolution would approve the 10th amendatory agreement between the city and Penn South to implement a change to state law in relation to Penn South's tax exemption, effectively lowering Penn South's real property taxes. The committee will also consider whether to recommend the override of the mayor's veto of 4 pieces of legislation. Introduction number 570B in relation to creating a land bank, introduction number 1407A in relation to the sale of tax liens, introduction number 1419A in relation to reporting regarding unresolved tax liens, and to repeal and replace section 11-356 of such code relating to a temporary task force on tax liens, and introduction number 1420A in relation to the transfer of tax liens to a land bank. Finally, the committee will consider whether to recommend that the mayor's veto messages in relation to this legislation be filed. The legislation we are considering today addresses important issues in relation to how we manage vacant and distressed properties, how we use and oversee the city's tax lien tools, and how we can support affordable housing and economic growth across our city. Intro number 570-B 2024, prime sponsored by Councilmember Brewer, would, subject to approval of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, establish a land bank for New York City with powers under state law relating to the purchase and enforcement of tax liens, as well as acquisition, warehousing, and transfer of real property to improve local management of vacant, abandoned, tax delinquent, and tax foreclosed properties. Proposed intro 1407A, prime sponsored by former Speaker Adams, would amend the administrative code to authorize the city to sell tax liens to a New York City land bank through a negotiated sale, and would not provide an expiration date for such authority. Additionally, this bill would require the Commissioner of Finance to include in the terms and conditions of any sale of tax liens the term and condition that no purchaser of a tax lien may foreclose upon a lien on Class 1 residential real property occupied by the owner as a primary resident until 1 year has passed after the date of sale, and the value of the lien reaches the lesser amount of 15% of the property value, or $70,000, as well as the term and condition that every purchaser shall regularly send bills of the amount due on the lien and other pertinent information to the property owner. Wow, that is like the longest sentence I think I've ever read in my entire life. Intro number 1419A. Prime, co-sponsored by Councilmember Nurse, would implement recommendations of the temporary task force on tax liens to require the Commissioner on Finance to submit to the Council and post online an annual report on properties encumbered by tax liens that remain unsatisfied for 36 months or more after being sold, including whether inspections by city agencies resulted in violations. And intro number 1420A, prime sponsored by Councilmember Nurse, would require the Commissioner of Finance to require purchasers of tax liens to make better efforts to transfer sold tax liens to a city land bank if established upon certain triggering events. And I know that Councilmember Brewer wanted to make some comments on her bill, so please feel free to go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So I am talking about what was 570B, and it replaces, this is a land bank bill, it replaces New York City's private sector-driven high bidder tax lien sales with a public-focused nonprofit approach. And we had many hearings on it previously. And it is true that there will be many more discussions because the rules and regulations will be written. but it would have a board comprised of the mayor or their designee, the commissioner of finance or their designee, the commissioner of housing, HPD, or their designee, and then 3 persons appointed by the speaker and 1 person appointed by the mayor with advice and consent of the council. The land bank exists in other parts of the state and the country. In this case, it would be empowered under the state and the local law to purchase tax liens from the city and to enforce tax liens in accordance with policies and procedures to promote the goals of collecting the outstanding revenues of the city. I want to be clear, this doesn't curtail revenues, which was what I heard a lot from the administration. It preserves ownership if appropriate. It preserves equity in the homes if appropriate. It prevents displacement of a resident from their dwelling if appropriate, and promotes proper and effective management of residences. We want to make sure that there is less recidivism with properties that end up in private ownership after tax liens. That's what's been happening in the current situation. So I would say that we need every tool in the toolbox to make sure that we have community-oriented housing. We want to have a nonprofit involved. And we want to make sure that there's interception from current tax lien sales so that we rehab for affordable housing. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. And also just want to recognize we've been joined by Councilmembers Bottcher, Sanchez, Abreu, and Morano.
I just want to add that Emre is the star of this land bank bill. Thank you, Emre.
I know I still need to have him use his brain powers and osmosis into my brain. Okay, so without further ado, I now ask the clerk to call the roll. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Councilmember Bottcher.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the members of the committee. In my city council district, across the street from me in Chelsea is a true cornerstone of affordability on the west side. It's called Penn South, and it's a 2,820 unit limited equity co-op that since 1962 has provided stable, affordable homes for working families, seniors, and retirees in what has become one of the most expensive neighborhoods in all of New York City. And today we're taking a step to strengthen the future of Penn South. In last year's state budget, Governor Hochul and the state legislature delivered a major win for Mitchell-Lama households across the state by automatically reducing their property taxes by half. But Penn South was not included in that because of a technicality. That exclusion never made sense, and today we are fixing it. At the state level, then State Senator Brad Hoylman-Siegel and Assemblymember Tony Simone passed state legislation to close this loophole, and today the City Council is passing accompanying legislation to fully implement that fix for Penn South. And by extending this tax relief to Penn South, we're strengthening the financial stability of the cooperative, keeping carrying charges more affordable, ensuring that this proven model of permanent affordability remains viable for the long term. At a moment when affordable housing is under extraordinary pressure, we must use every tool to protect what works. Supporting developments like Penn South is essential to keeping our city livable for working families, seniors, and for future generations.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. We've also been joined by Councilmember Ressler. And are there any other comments or questions in the committee? Okay, perfect. And I now ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you. Good morning. William Martin, Committee Clerk. Roll call vote. Committee on Finance. All items are coupled. Chair Lee.
Aye and all.
Brooks Powers.
Aye and all.
Feliz.
Aye and all.
Abreu. Aviles.
Aye.
Hudson.
Aye.
Marte.
Aye.
Mealy.
Aye.
Hanks. Narcisse.
I want to say aye on all, but I still have some questions for my colleague Gale Brewer on that because putting the state into the function deeper in the city tax. But I'll talk to her. Thank you, but I'll say aye on all.
Ressler. Thank you. Williams.
I vote aye.
Thank you. Aldebol.
I vote aye on all.
Maloney.
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Wong.
I vote no on all except for 1419, the occupying reso, and pre-consider reso 326.
Thank you. Morano. Thank you. One moment. One moment, members. Gennaro. Following results, all items have been adopted by the committee with 15 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, and no abstentions, with the exception of the pre-considered reso, which is adopted by the committee with 16 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and no abstentions.
Great. Okay, I'm now closing the vote. Thank you.